Hi there, this is Sam, and today I wanted to talk. Run! Run!
Hey, stop. It's runs.
What?
No, it's runs, not run.
Oh, runs. Silly me. Oh, by the way, I actually know a great plugin that works really well for this. Let's do a review about that. Hello there, this is Sam with Second Tier Sound. Really nice to see you here. And no, the zombie apocalypse haven't caught me, even though I look dreadful today. It's just that I have a little bit of a cold and the filter on the camera hasn't been able to remove that, and you can probably hear it in my voice. But anyway, so today I wanted to talk about the plugin called Colors Adaptive Runs by ProjectSam. But before I get into that, I just wanted to briefly mention that my name is Sam, and I create videos on how to orchestrate within a DAW, and also occasionally some reviews. If that interests you, you can always hit the subscribe button. But let's talk about the plugin. And I do want to mention that no, I'm not sponsored by ProjectSam, but they were very kind to send me a review copy. And I also wanted to say that ProjectSam is quite an interesting instrument maker, if you could say. I know it's all virtual, but anyway, because they create plugins that have really high quality sounds, but it's very easy to create something quite big and quite fast with them. You know, if you take like companies like Spitfire or East and West, for example, that have great instruments with lots of detail, and each instrument you really need to dig into in order to get great results, I would say that's not really what ProjectSam is about. You can create almost the same results, but much, much faster. It depends a little bit on how you like to work, obviously. But even though some of their plugins are getting a little bit older now, they're still really, really good. So I highly recommend to check them out as well. Anyway, let's get into the plugin and see what you can do with it. Let's say you have this epic adventures theme. And you know the deal, it's the same stuff as ever. And you pretty much need to have runs in here. So let's add that with this plugin really quickly. And that's pretty much it. Well, since I don't have any sponsors, I thought I should interrupt this video to sponsor myself, to say, did you know that you can actually have my project files that I create for these example videos? If you want that to check out, to learn more what I'm doing and how things work, you can actually become a patron and get access to these files. Or maybe you just want to support me so I can create more videos like this. So check out the link below if you're interested. Cheers. So let's go deeper into this plugin so you understand exactly how it works. Here on the left side, you have different instruments. You have combos, different instruments, obviously. And then you have strings, full range, and also just violins or just violas, which is a really good option. Same thing with winds. You can have the full range or just flutes or piccolos or oboes. Really like that. And then finally, it also has trumpets and the chromatic runs, which is really nice. I haven't seen trumpets included in other runs libraries, so that's a nice option. And also forgot they have some flute effects down here, which is nice. So I have loaded up the combo strings and winds full range run. And let's talk a little bit how it works. If you just hit a key, it will play that run. And down here you see there are different colors. And that is because when it's purple, it means that whatever key you hit, the engine will adapt so that the instrument are able to play it, because maybe sometimes you're too low or too high, and then the engine will move the instrument's octave up or down to fit, so it still works no matter key you hit, no matter what key you hit. But up here in the blue range, it will always be the real range. You might not hear the piccolos, or if you're too low, you might not hear the cellos if you're too high, for example. So that's the difference. This will adapt. This will always be the true range. Here on the left side, we have different ways of doing the run, how to decide how to play. And beats is how you start, and you basically just decide how many beats you want. So we have 2 beats, and it will land on the third, first up. You can obviously just change this up and down. You can go quite extreme, up to 8 beats. And that obviously depends on the tempo, because the time stretch tool is working hard, and this wouldn't make sense in this tempo, but if you have something much faster, it will obviously sound better. But it's fine that it's there. And you can even go down to half a beat. And the difference then is that it goes down a fourth and goes up to the key you're pressing down. So in this case, it was F, so that means it will start on a C. Otherwise, it will always start on the key you're pressing and it will land on the key you're pressing. octaves up or down, obviously. Then you can change the range here. You can have a narrow run or a wider one. That again depends on the tempo. It might not always work with the tempo you're in. So the automatic one will always, most of the time, fit the best. But if you want something specific, you can try that out, obviously. Then here we have quantization or Q. And this is very nice because we have a tempo here. You see, no matter where I hit the key, it will land on a beat. It will try to stick to the beat I've set, more or less, but it always land on the beat. So even if I'm off, it will land perfectly. Then here, this one, make sure that the run just ends just a little bit before the beat instead. You can see if we try this. See, it wasn't exactly on, it was just a little bit before. And that's, a preference of style, but it's nice that it's there. The freeze button is really nice because maybe you have a massive orchestra and you don't have a lot of memory left. And this is a 1.5 almost gigabyte plugin. So if you click the freeze button, it will actually just freeze whatever you have chosen, in this case, 2 beats. So it will only be 2 beats. It won't adapt to anything, and it will only play that, and that can save you quite a bit of memory. Then we have the cogwheel here, which give you simple options. You can change the sync method. You can change the hit point if you want it a little bit after, a little bit sooner, which is nice. And you can also change the envelope style, until end. You can also change if you want it twice as fast or half the speed, which is nice, depending on the tempo again. So you got a lot of options there. Okay, so let's talk about the different ways of doing this. The beats is the one we just tried, but downbeat is really nice. But what it will do is that it will always land on the first beat, the next bar. So wherever you hit the key within the bar, it will land perfectly on the next first beat in the next bar. So let's try. See? Very, very nice. So you can be sloppy there and you will always get a perfect run no matter what. But it gives you a lot of nice options because you can literally start the run anytime you want, not just always on the first beat. This you can also change. You can say, no, I want it to land 1 beat, for example. See, it will land there instead. And you can obviously do the opposite and land before. Then we have seconds, which is nice because maybe you're not running exactly with a tempo in a DAW. Maybe you have a more loose, more free-flowing tempo, and then you can just set how long do you want the run to be. It works the same. You just set the length, and it will follow that. Very nice. Then off is basically pure original samples in the original tempo. So there's no time stretching whatsoever going on there. If you're a purist and you want the exact one, and you can try that. All the keys are still included. Let's take a look at the sections. And depending what you've chosen here, in the combos, you obviously have 2 instruments. You can just turn them off. So maybe you just want the woodwinds. Right, or just the strings, which is very nice. Now, depending a little bit what you have loaded, you can also use an octave up. Yeah, so there is an octave above, so give that fat sound. And you can also do that with winds. So you can get that double sound, which is very nice. I really like that option. Then we have different mic positions, and the mix one is the one you need, basically. It's a mix of these mics. But if you want to be more specific, it's really nice that this option is there. You have close, stage, far, and wide. You might have seen my video on mic positions before, but I go over it quickly. Close is just basically really close to the instrument, like this mic here, close to my mouth, and you get that more intimate sound, more detailed sound. Stage is also quite intimate, but the mic is just a little bit further back. On stage, you can hear a bit more of the whole stage. Still intimate sound, but bigger. And then far is basically the mics are in the audience, you could say, so you hear more of the room, you get an even bigger sound. And wide is basically the mics are really far back on the side, so you get that more widening effect. So it can definitely be fun to play with these. And also remember that each mic that you load up, it will add to the memory, so there'll be a lot more. Let's look at the control here as well. So we have velocity, major and minor. This plugin only has major and minor, which is a little bit of a drawback, but it works for most cases. And the way you control that is how hard you hit the key. So if I hit it softly, I get a minor key, but if I hit it hard, I get a major key. And I can obviously turn that off if I just want the major key. No matter how hard I hit the key, it will always be the major, and I will also save some memory. And then we have down and up, because obviously the runs can go up and down. So if I do the mod wheel all the way up, or CC1 as it's also called, it goes down. By changing the mod wheel, you might see that down here. All right, and then we can also have a pedal on, and that means that if I hold the pedal down, I will get sort of a, well, a bounce is the best word. Let's try it. And it will stop when I lift the key. The last run will play. A lot easier than to sort of trying to sync that yourself. And you can also control that. You can decide how you control these things. You can do it if you want with a key switch, or you can change the mod wheel to do it instead. I prefer it the way it is, but it's very good that you can change that. It depends on your workflow. Let's look at the envelope and effect section, and it's basically just how you want the run to behave. If you have this, for example, the release all the way there, when you lift it, it will cut off really quickly, right? Which, I don't know, that could be useful maybe. If you have it all the way down, it will play the whole way and smooth out even when I lift the finger. All right, and you can even change the beginning if you want a smoother attack. Or even, yeah, that's quite a bit, yeah? And then you have a mastery key, which basically means that if you go higher up, it sounds a bit brighter, a little bit darker. It's a little bit same as the other review I did about the strings and the drums by UJam. I really like that. It's very easy to tune in the effect you want very fast. Reverb mix, I just wanted to say that this very nice instrument is recorded in a nice hall, so you always will have a reverb in. But if you want a bigger one, you can add that, and you can obviously go crazy if you want some kind of sound design. You can play a chord and you get... That might be cool. I don't know. But I just want to say, if you go all the way down, you will still hear the room. So it's still kind of a reverb there anyway. Very nice. Now we have spread, which is a widening tool if you want a little bit more wide. Or even go mono, which is actually not a bad thing to be able to do. Yes. And then pan and limiter. And limiter is really good if you want to limit the dynamics a little bit. And one thing that is very important to mention is that up here we have a few tweaks, and this is sustain pedal can hold if you want that, but I use it as my bounce, so it depends on how you use it. But this one I find is important. Expression pedal is volume, and this is very good because all the runs now have the same volume. So now you have the volume control in the expression. I can, it's really just a volume control. There's no dynamic layers here, but it can be effective in terms of having a little bit more dynamic. Or you just want to make sure that different runs have different volumes. It's easier to control that than just ride the volume all the time in your channel. And that's pretty much it. I thought we should try some of the runs so you can hear them as well. The first one we did try was the combo with strings and winds, and now I've loaded the high strings and wind runs. It's pretty much the same. The difference is that there's no low instruments here, it's just the violins and the higher flutes. So we can, for example, turn off the violins and the flutes and just hear the piccolos. Yeah, or we can hear the flutes, for example. Right. Then we have flute and piccolos, which is pretty much the same. It's just no strings included. And then we can try this one, high strings, flutes, and trumpet. But let's try just the trumpet so you can hear how they sound. Yeah, very nice. And then one that I like is the low strings and winds, which is basically, I think it's cello, viola, and bassoons, perhaps, something like that. Let's try that. Let's turn off the strings. And you can hear that actually there's some oboes there too. You can hear when they change over. I like that. They're really playing the real ranges, so it doesn't sound fake. It sounds real, the way you would write it for a real orchestra. Full range strings is really nice because you get all the range, so then there's no control, obviously. You can hear all the sections working here. Yeah, there you go. Very nice. All right. Then we have violins and violas and cello, which is, we've already heard more or less. Then we have winds full range, which is very nice because it's not just, the upper or lower. You really get the whole range there as well. Let's try a low one here with bassoon. Yeah, and if we go even higher, I'm sure we'll hear the high end. Yes, it sounds very, very good. Then flute runs is just flutes and just piccolos, obviously. Then oboes and clarinets. I guess clarinets included. I didn't know that, but I do like that. Yeah. All right. And then we also have flute effects, and that's not a run, but they give you some interesting effects. It's just two different kinds there. That is sort of a run, but more of an effect. Yeah. And then let's look at the trumpets. We have chromatic here as well. Is this a plugin for you or not? Well, it depends on your work style and what songs you create, obviously. I have created a video here on how to create runs on your own with a library that has run patches and even with libraries that don't. But still, that never really sounds exactly the same as real instruments, and it's also quite tedious to do. So this plugin creates great workflow. It's so fast to create runs, and if you do this a lot, I highly recommend to have a plugin like this. The thing I lack in this plugin is basically other kinds of scales and also other figures, and I do realize that would have been a very huge library, but you know, things can always get better. But I do think you can get away with minor and major quite a bit because it's hard to hear all the individual notes anyway, and it sounds really, really good. So I would definitely use this a lot more myself. Anyway, that's it for this time. I hope you enjoy this review. If you would like to support me, you can always hit the like button, write a nice comment. Maybe you have some good advice for other people, what they can do. You can always subscribe to my channel. You can become a patron, or you can recommend my videos to other people. So thank you very much, and I hope to see you soon. Take care.